Welcome to the Broadside Podcast.
With host, my dad, Andy Elliott.
All right, well, welcome back to the Broadside Podcast. I'm Andy Elliott, and on today's episode, it's a little bit different than what I normally do with the Bulletin series that I've done a few of, with just news and updates on what's happening with hunting rights and gun rights and stuff like that, and just news in general in Washington State or the Pacific Northwest. This time I've brought Kelsey Ross from the Conservation Coalition on again. She's really well versed in this stuff. I think we're going to try to make this a reoccurring theme on these news episodes to let you guys know what's happening. If you think it's a good idea, reach out, let me know, drop a comment. Still trying to figure out what we're going to call these bonus episodes. But I think it's just a good way to get the news out there. Also, don't forget, elliotoutdoors.com is live now. I've had a little bit of issues with some plugins, so some of the swag, like this hat, isn't quite available right now, but I'm working on all that stuff. And but right now you can get on there: guns, ammo, knives, hunting gear, all sorts of stuff. So check it out. Let me know if there's something you want to see on there. I'm working on trying to get a few new products, peak refuel, a couple other things like that. So I appreciate you guys listening, and here's Kelsey and I delivering some news. All right. Well, Kelsey, if you wouldn't mind kind of introducing yourself again, since you've been on here a couple times, but let us know a little bit about you.
So I'm Kelsey. I'm one of the newer members of the coalition. Joined in with you guys in the fall. I'm a mom. I'm a new hunter and wild food enthusiast, and just really enjoying advocating for hunting rights here in Washington State.
All righty. So this episode, guys, is going to be a little different. It's kind of following along the lines of the Bulletin series that I've done in the past. I thought it would be kind of cool to get Kelsey involved in this because she is very knowledgeable about what's going on in Washington State, and all to do with hunting rights. I haven't figured out what I'm going to call it yet. We can call it like Kelsey's Conservation Chronicles, something like that. But so I asked Kelsey to just join me and kind of help me kind of run down some of the stuff that's going on here in Washington State. So she's got quite a section of great notes and some stuff to talk about. I don't know where you would prefer to start, Kelsey, but I'll let you just kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, we'll just kind of go into what's happened this year so far. So conservation policy, we heard quite a bit about that last year at the end of the year. We had a petition going around, just a lot of effort behind that situation. We had that big turnout back in October at the commission meeting in Olympia, and there was kind of a pause on that towards the end of the year, and opening up in January, we learned that there was more of an official pause to this policy when there was supposed to be a vote. The tribes kind of put a stop to that. They weren't happy with the lack of collaboration that didn't go into drafting this policy, and they got some of their people involved. And so for right now, we're waiting for that government to government discussion to happen. So that's tabled for now. I think it's a good thing for certain. So back in December, as most of you know, there was the vote on the cougar and bear rulemaking brought forth by Washington Wildlife First, the Humane Society, and whoever else was involved in that, the typical suspects. And that was kind of a vote to, or at least some of the commissioners thought, to just initiate rulemaking, bring that discussion to the forefront. And as most of us knew, it was much more than that. And we saw some of those commissioners really dump that on first thing with the the commissions that started the new year, or commission meetings that started the new year, wanting to make a vote with, a matrix in hand with all of these changes to be made. And yeah, that has been an interesting situation. Hunters really turned out in February after learning about this matrix, and just sent those emails, got them in, trying to stop that. And we saw that stopped at the second February meeting. I guess there was the special wildlife committee meeting early in the week, and then it was a regular commission meeting. No vote was made. And then the same thing happened here in March. There was another meeting. They were possibly going to make a vote. We heard from the staff, and regardless of what the staff said, and learning that these cougar populations are stable and handling the hunting pressure well, and basically what they had thought all along was, in regards to population, is what's still happening now. Commissioner Smith was really wanting to push forward with the vote, and that did not occur. Jim Anderson really held strong there, I would say. And gosh, it's been quite a whirlwind with all of that. I know there's supposed to be more discussion on that topic. So yeah, that's where we are with cougars. And then bears, we're supposed to hear more about that here in May. The science is not back on the bear population and density and how they are handling hunting pressure. Hopefully the commissioners are down to wait until that science is in. Do you want to talk any more about those topics, Andy? Break them down a
Yeah.
little here.
Yeah, I had a couple, maybe one. Do we know of any efforts that have been made between the department and any of the tribes for further discussions on that conservation policy, or
Yeah, so we know that the commission was going to send out a former letter or email to them. They brought that up last meeting. Commissioner Roland wasn't very pleased with the fact that this commission or conservation policy isn't moving forward. And yeah, so that got brought up, and the goal is for them is to reach out to them and see where things go. So I don't know if that has been, sent out yet, or if they've had any response or any type of collaboration there, but I guess we'll have to see this next meeting.
yeah, so that was I remember seeing that the tribe show up in during the public comment section, and it was kind of entertaining to watch them kind of get their hands slapped by them, especially when they, kind of called them out for making them wait through sign up through the public comment section instead of treating them like another, government entity. It was it was satisfying, to say the least, to see them kind of get their hands slapped by the tribes.
Yeah, the tribes have been pretty vocal about the commission lately, and it's been nice to see, because you, when someone like you or I says something, it doesn't feel like it holds much weight. But when the tribes come out and say what they say, it's nice to watch, because there is like gravity and weight to what they say. They do have power in a lot of ways, and I'm thankful for that. Um,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of contention there too. We've seen in the legislative meetings with the tribes discussing the commission, and yeah, it's been interesting to hear what they have to say about them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my only question on that, is if we've heard any further talks about moving it past where it's at. But so I remember, I was kind of in and out of that last meeting. Yeah, it was the last meeting where they did the presentation on the Cougars, right?
Yeah.
Maybe kind of give us a summary on what the department kind of came out with, an outline of what they said about the population, and what it looks like.
Well, I have the notes in my phone.
That's fine. We can take a look.
Yeah, let's see. So the cougar populations, they did say that they were stable, that the hunting pressure or the way we've been hunting is not unsustainable. So that was that was pretty interesting to hear. I mean, that's what I was hoping to hear, but it was interesting to see Commissioner Smith try and flip that narrative as, well, it was good before, right? So can't we just go back to what it was? And those changes were funny because, or what she is suggesting to be changed is funny because those go so much further beyond what things were back in 2019. So yeah, we'll have to see there. So I think I have. So we learned that we have 2.2 cougars per 100 square kilometers east
Oh,
of I-5.
oh, square
And
kilometers. Okay.
yes, and 2,300 cats of independent age and about 3,600 total. So we have a sustainable population, a healthy, stable population, and yeah, that's mostly what we said or what we heard. And there what seemed to be a little bit of pushback to some of the changes that were suggested by Commissioner Smith, with including conflict take in the total take numbers and guidelines. And we learned that that could shut down the seasons or shut down the seasons prior to their start. And that didn't seem like something they were really there for. So it was, yeah, it was quite interesting. Do you want to get into what some of the suggested changes are?
Yeah, we can. I was just kind of curious when you said that 2.2 cougars per square kilometer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So 2.2 cougars per square kilometer would be the equivalent of 2.2 cougars every 0.38 square miles, right?
0.3.
And yeah, so that's less than 1 square mile. Am I translating that right? Am I doing the right math here?
Let me look. You might need to edit this.
No, we don't need to edit nothing. We're learning together. Everybody listening will, because square kilometer, right?
Square kilometers. So
2.2 cats per square kilometer.
that
And
would be
one
more
square
like,
kilometer is 0.38 square miles,
yeah.
according
So
to
would that
Google.
be like 30? You're saying there's one per 30-mile um square miles, 30 square miles,
Well, it
like that.
says 1 square kilometer equals 0.38. So that's like that's less than 1 square mile. That can't be, yeah, that's right. Yeah, square kilometer is less than 1 square mile. So you divide the area value by 2.59. That means there's more than one cat per every square mile.
I was going to say one cat per 30 square miles, but I might be wrong.
Even if it's 30, let's call it 30. I'm pretty sure they require like 50 to 100 square miles. Like that's their,
Yeah, because he did say that their territories overlap, but it
there you go.
was,
That's what I was looking for.
yeah, but it was interesting to hear, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. The whole thing was interesting because I was hoping for more, like more information. We're supposed to hear more next meeting and
Gotcha.
maybe the meeting after that. They're supposed to dive deeper into these things. The commissioners are writing a list of questions, and it seems like they're going to dive deep into the conflict side of things, that, those conflict removals and how that plays into the whole thing. I think that is the big issue that some of the commissioners are banking on. So we'll have to see how that goes. We did hear we did hear the staff discuss hunters being a tool for conflict measures, as in, you know, people on the ground doing that hunting work is mitigating some of that conflict. So,
Oh, so isn't that a little contradictory to the little study that Miss Smith brought up about the 50 scientists or something like that? Didn't that study say that hunters were the problem?
they did, and I did look into that study. Well, it wasn't the study, but it was the letter that
Studiers.
backed the petition, and those were the 50 scientists. And I looked into them that week of the commission meeting, and I found out that 37 of them were linked to rewilding and the Rewilding Institute, and they weren't really a unbiased group of individuals. Kind of had that same ideology, and there was only 9 that I couldn't really find much information on, but the other 4 were linked to the Humane Society, to Project Coyote, and a couple other ones that are more extremist organizations. And we did find out that who's the guy that Brock or Mark Elbrock, that
Yeah.
scientist we keep hearing brought up. He's supporting Cats Aren't Trophies down in Colorado.
Hmm.
They came out to say that in their video last week or the week before, and we also heard them or saw on their website that he's listed on there as a supporter of what they are doing. So I don't really think that is a very unbiased individual.
Yeah, and I think we'll touch on your best available science policy a little bit later, but that doesn't kind of sound like the best available science. It feels like they just want any science that pushes their narrative, right?
Yeah, the biased available science.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I didn't really have much. We're still kind of in limbo on bear, right? Until May.
Yeah, we are. We're they're both concerning. I mean, there's the chance for a lot of loss of opportunity for both of those hunts. They keep saying, this is a rollback, this is a rollback, and it's not a rollback. It's so much further beyond what was in place before, and it doesn't make sense. And even rolling back, if the science isn't backing the need to do that, why are we not maximizing opportunity if the populations can handle it? So yeah, it's frustrating situation. We'll be watching it and keeping everyone updated on what happens there. But those are 2 of the biggest hot button issues right now on the table that we should all be a bit concerned about, because when you take away predator hunting, it really affects other aspects of our opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so moving on, I don't know if you want to move on to the next thing. It looks like Wolf PSR, if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, so um, at the end of last year, there was a public comment period that was in place for people to um, discuss downlisting gray wolves from endangered to sensitive. Is it sensitive? I think that's right. Yeah, sensitive.
Yeah,
And
that's what it was.
it apparently there was quite a bit of support for that, and hope to, completely delist them. That is not what the department is suggesting, but they are looking to downlist them to sensitive from endangered. That is their recommendation to the commission, and they did a great presentation this last March meeting and are hoping to do it sounds like there's going to be multiple presentations between now and June. I think they're set to vote on this issue in June. It's hard to tell because on their website there's multiple things put. It says June in one place, July in another place. So it sounds like it needs to be done. We have 37 packs here in Washington. We have over 216 individuals, and they're they have reached their objective ×5 in the eastern part of this state. And it sounds like the main reason why they are not being completely delisted is because they haven't completely migrated into this Cascades, I guess that southern portion of the Cascades and over to the peninsula. That's part of their objective, but hopefully they can, get this vote in. We know some of the commissioners are not going to be for it. They're getting a lot of pressure from the anti-hunters and wolf people. They tend to, come out pretty hard. But we'll see how it goes. Lorna came when we had that Sierra Club meeting. She said, I am not going to vote for that. And that was back in September. So we'll have to see where that goes. But it only seems fair to me for the people who are dealing with, wolves and, that 5 times the objective, that something happens because they are reaching their management objectives. Like we need to start moving forward and looking to, different ways. Because
Yeah.
it's been a frustrating situation for the people who are living with them.
Yeah, and maybe I'm maybe I'm wrong here, but wasn't like the whole management objective that wasn't even like a set in stone thing, right? Like that didn't even have to be met. Like it's not like a yeah, we hit this number and then we can go. It was just a recommendation of a
Yeah.
number, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think
so
it was. That's what it looked like. There was some I don't know, not variability, but there was some give and take there, and there was multiple like criteria for doing it. And they seemed to meet most of the criteria for what they had hoped. So
well, it's I mean,
and exceeded
common
it.
sense. Yeah, and common sense would tell you they're probably not going to get to that other unit and cross I-5 regardless, right? Like
Yeah, I
um
don't know how they're going to do it, and I don't really think the anti-hunters really want it to happen. Or
we'd
maybe they
go
do.
we'd go plant a couple down there for them.
Yeah, I know. We heard one of the legislators offer that idea. They weren't really down for it.
Yeah, I bet not. And also, like we don't manage any other animal in the statewide. Like,
Yeah,
it should be dealt with like in the area that they're having the problems.
yeah,
Um,
in their units,
yeah,
and
exactly.
yeah, it's not very focused dealing it with it like that, and it's so many people are dealing with the consequences of it, and I don't know. Hopefully, they take this a step in the right direction, so when they do another one of these, they can take it a step further, and some of these problems can be mitigated.
Yeah, I need to get a roll of tin foil so I can put a hat on, but it seems like they picked that last region down there for a reason, knowing that they probably would never get there, so then they would never have to vote to manage them. But that's just my conspiracy, I guess.
There's a lot of conspiracies that turn out to be kind of true in this world.
Um, so yeah, we'll
We
see how that
also,
goes.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, then we have that other wolf issue regarding the livestock conflict. That was, gosh, was that back in
Oh yeah.
October when the commission denied that rulemaking from those anti-hunting groups? They got mad, sent an appeal off to Governor Inslee, and he was he was down for that. And so yeah, it's back in the commission's court, and they are supposed to look at it again. And I think that's in July. So just a lot of wolf stuff coming up for the next several months.
Hmm.
We'll see how that goes. I don't know what will happen. I guess the last time Jansley got involved in a wolf issue like this, the commission didn't really, change what they were doing, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I hope that they don't make any changes because it sounds like the decision that they made was the right one in order to, collaborate well with the landowners. Because when you don't collaborate with the landowners, we see problems. We heard that from the staff too in regards to cougars as well. When you step on landowners' toes like that and you don't hear them out, you're not going to get a lot of support, and they're not going to let you do some of their projects and whatnot. It's just not a good philosophy.
Yeah. Sorry. So what's the next meeting we got coming up?
That's April 18th through the 20th. And that
Yeah.
it looks like we're going to hear more about wolves. We're going to hear about this cougar thing. So the staff will have more information on cougars at that point, and we'll be answering all of those questions that the commissioners have. I won't be surprised if we have that curveball from Lorna Smith trying to get a motion made for a vote, but we'll see. So that's what I know is on the table so far this next month. We do have the best available science policy coming up. I think they're voting on that, and I'm a little bit concerned about that, considering a lot of the commissioners think best available science is not what comes from their own staff, and that tends to be ignored, and they like to go elsewhere. And there was quite a bit of contention during I think it was the Big Tent meeting. We heard Lorna and Reagan kind of lash out a little bit about um, outside science and not accepting department science as best available science. And it's a little bit concerning. I need to look into the document a little bit more, but I think it's something that we should be sending comments in if we have concerns.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I
So
wanted to go back to the wolves for just one
yeah,
second. So
absolutely.
you do have some time to make your voice heard. We did hear public comment at the last meeting. There was some great testimony, lots of wolfy people there. But on May 6th, the online public comment, you can also call and email. That is open till May 6th. That's when it closes. You have some time to make your voice heard on that issue about the down listing of gray wolves.
Down.
Yeah, I was getting that messed up.
Yeah. So are they still doing public comment the same way? I know there was talks about changing how they let people talk.
Yeah, it sounds like they are going to put preference to the people who are in person, but there was pushback from both sides of the aisle. We heard hunters pushing back. We heard anti-hunters pushing back on changes. So we'll see what happens. I don't really know what they're going to do.
I still think they should offer up like a couple of, I don't know, maybe one a year on both sides of the state and do like a town hall, right? Like where
Yeah.
they all sit down as a panel and then they have to answer the questions we have for them instead of sitting there, like feel like you're talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, that would be nice to hear a response from them. I think we say so much to them and we never really hear back unless they decide to email you or whatever. So you don't really get to hear back about your concerns and what they're thinking and how they want to address them.
Yeah,
You can easily just tune out.
I
So
know. Unless you start talking crap about Lorna's buddy up there in the Northeast, we'll hear about her being at his property.
yeah, it was funny how she, like, of everything that was said, she had to talk about being there at his house. Okay. That's all you
Yeah,
got from it. You were so offended about that guy who's tied to the Humane Society and the Rewilding Institute. I had to go look that up, and sure enough.
yeah. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So we covered the wolf stuff, the best, not biased, but best available science policy. Did you get everything you wanted to say on that?
Yeah, I think there's not really too much to say. I want to dig into it a little bit deeper, but I think the main points, if you're going to send an email in, is really highlighting that the commission needs to be looking at their department staff or their department science, unbiased science, and not just science from who the heck knows where. Like I said, I dug into those scientists that Lorna was touting as, the best carnivore experts or whatever. Like that doesn't really mean much sometimes, yeah, it's not always doesn't always make for good science. So yeah, we need to be listening to our own people who actually deal with these situations here on the ground in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was I think I'm gonna skip that one for now. But the I'm not gonna be able to say this right. Legislative session is pretty much over, correct?
Yeah, it's over for now. Obviously, they can bring some things up later on if they can fit it in their budget or whatever. But for right now, we can go into that a little bit if you're cool with it.
Yeah, I'll kind of just start with the FFL killer bill. The governor signed into law that starts 7/1 of 2025, if I remember right. And I don't know, it's scary. I know I've already heard some people talk about not being able to get the insurance coverage that they're going to require. Um, the fact that they want to video monitor us 24/7 and aim cameras at the people buying firearms seems like a pretty big infringement on our rights. I know Ryan Garrett was talking about this, him as an FFL and I as an FFL. It's I don't know if we're gonna make it. It's a little disheartening. I'm sure some of the bigger ones might be able to stick around. I don't see Cabela's going into these safety measures and redoing half their gun counter and adding these gun safes and putting bars on their doors and all this crap to abide by this. I would feel like a place like that would just stop selling them. They'd probably make more money selling fishing gear anyway. Um, so I don't know. It's a pretty bad deal. Hopefully, we got time. 7/1, 2025. Hopefully the lawsuits start flying and something can change. But that doesn't look very promising.
Hopefully, we can see something come through next session to combat this situation. But it really is a gut punch for a lot of people. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. And I think that's probably been one of the most frustrating bills that has come out of this session, I would say. There's
Yeah,
been several done ones, but that one really takes the cake for me, I think.
yeah. I don't the comment that was made that the sponsor of the bill was like one of them anyway, was like there's a lot of stuff said at a gun counter that's shady or something, like can be a red flag basically.
Yeah,
It's
I did hear that that's what she said for her argument. Like somehow it'll get them evidence, but not. I don't know if they care that a lot of people have FFLs in their house. That just really seems like was it a Fourth Amendment violation just to be audio recording people all the time and video recording them? Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. There's a lot of problems there. So what was in the amendments before we go forward onto other bills? What did they
Um,
amend?
the only the only thing I think that was really that big of a deal was they went from we were going to have to keep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, video and audio surveillance at 15 frames per second for 6 years. That's a massive amount of memory, right? It got dropped to 2 years, and then I think at the final one it was dropped down to 90 days. Um, but that was kind of the real big
Did they
change.
did they amend the part where people had to move the guns into these like safes or whatever every day? I don't think they did, right?
I don't think they did either. Yeah, that because the only thing I read, and I mean I could pull it up later, but The only thing I read that was changed was the down to 90 days. But I
Uh,
could be wrong. It could have been like an 11th hour change that happened, but um, when
yeah,
I
I
got
wasn't.
sent to the when I got sent back to the house, I just kind of stopped paying attention. I knew we were screwed. So
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about all of the weapons that are going to end up scratched and damaged and uh,
well,
having
I
to
mean,
be.
you got to think like Cabela's has got, I don't know, even if they got 60 guns, they which they have probably more on display, those will have to be in a locked display case. And then you got to pay somebody to take all of those and put them in a locked safe somewhere else. That's a large safe. And then, well, they've got way more than 60, I guess, if you count all the pistols in the case, and then pull it back out every morning. Like it's
Yeah,
insanity.
that's hours and hours of work. I mean, people would probably be doing that all night and just switching, like not even getting them all put away before they have to start bringing them out again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your Marts and your Walmarts and your Cabela's, they might not even try selling guns anymore in the state.
Yeah,
They're just not going to be worth their time and effort.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. I we'll have to see, and I hope there's some lawsuits and I hope there's some fighting that goes on because this isn't really okay. It was crazy to see even the Seattle Times say like this is not a good bill. This is a small business killer. This is
Hmm.
not what it's touted as.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, best we can hope for at this point is the lawsuits start flying, and then everybody shows up in November and votes. Be not for Sideshow Bob, but for Republican candidate, someone with a brain, apparently.
Yeah, someone that can veto this situation because yeah, it yeah, it's not okay. I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of lost for words with the whole thing.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, especially like I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to be dealing with it, but like I just got my FFL less than 2 years ago. I
Yeah.
just literally just finished my website. Like I just started building like my workbench and Cerakote shop. So like it's just like, well, do I just forego all that money that I just spent on that and give it all up or move?
All yeah,
Yeah.
all that money, all that time, all of that effort and energy. It's yeah, it's a lot of heart goes into something like that. And I don't think some people care.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Um,
that's the FFL killer that the old governor signed. But yeah, if you wanted to jump into the other ones that uh went through the
so
session.
we So there's the SJR 8208. That was the Senate Joint Resolution for the right to hunt and fish. Wagoner introduced that bill. It did not move forward, but I'm hopeful that we'll see something similar to it next session. That we need that. That is something that would make our lives a hell of a lot easier on the hunting front. It just something to hold the commission a little bit more accountable for to ensure that this lifestyle continues into the future. I Is it 22 or 23 other states that have this?
It's
It's
something like that,
something
22, I think, 23.
that
Yeah,
have
it's funny to watch like because I've seen some of the the newsletters or whatever from like the anti-hunting groups touting about not letting that pass because if it does, they won't be able to change their um they won't be able to bring things to a ballot. So like
they stop their ballot box biology. And
kind of showing
that's a
their
hard no
hands.
for them, yeah. So, yeah, it seems less about, doing what's right and more about them having power in this situation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, the right to hunt or fish allows you to do whatever the hell you want. That's not what it is at all. So, we'll see what happens. I would like to see it introduced, and, it's going to take a lot of fight to make it happen in a state like ours, but maybe next session it can all play out the way it needs to.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
effort and a lot of fight will have to go into that though. So we'll stay tuned and keep you updated if any of that comes forward. So we saw the House Bill 2434, and that was the bill to like get rid of the commission. That did not go forward. It really was, they heard public comment, but it didn't, it just stalled out right there. That bill sounded really good for some people, I would say. I mean, we're sick of the commission. Getting rid of it seems like an easy solution, but probably not the right one. I think a commission is the right structure for wildlife management, but maybe there are some changes that need to be made. So I think that bill is more like opening a conversation and dialogue for what is going on with the commission and how to, maybe better choose commissioners, when more equally represent the members of the state, and have a little bit of accountability and yeah, for the commission, because they are lacking that. They have no oversight. So hopefully we see something like that come forward next session that is better written after hearing from the public on their thoughts. We saw House Bill 24, and that was to align WDF management practices to the Colville tribes. That one was a hard push from the antis. They did not like that because who hunts wolves?
Yeah, exactly.
But that did move forward, and that is something that the commission is going to have to talk about, I think, this summer on how they are going to align some of their management practices with the Colville tribes.
Yeah, and some of them anti-hunting people got pretty close to that line in some of their comments
Oh, yeah,
regarding like pretty, I'd hate to say racist, but it was pretty close on how they were commenting on the tribes managing wildlife and stuff like that. It was a
they
nail
nearly
biter.
got burned. Yeah, we saw one of the representatives kind of go after, the head of Washington Wildlife first for her comments on, not on the tribes not being like the best people to collaborate with on
Yeah,
wildlife policy, but they have been managing wildlife forever.
ever.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't come off great, and they didn't really like that. So not it wasn't a good look for them, but I'm glad it moved forward. So then we saw House Bill 2293. That was the for the study on avian predation on salmon. So that's a good thing. That was another win for sportsmen and salmon. Do you have anything to say about any of these things before we go ahead?
No, the only thing I wanted to comment on was like that last one was about salmon, and I know we've kind of got some people's feedback that we're we're working on. I know you're working on uh, getting more involved in the fish side of this stuff too, not just the hunting side. Um, but it's a very more vast, like in-depth thing. It seems like so. But I just want to let people know that you are and some of us are working on that.
We're trying. We're trying to do it right. We want we want to get it right because fishing is contentious, you guys. It's not a simple situation. There are a lot of people who have different ideas about what the right thing to do with fish is, and it's a lot more hands in the pot than with hunting. So it's a little bit more to navigate. I have a few family members in the fish world. I have an uncle who is a former tribal fisheries biologist, kind of like a counterpart of Commissioner Steve Parker, basically. And then I have my cousin's husband is part of the Coastal Conservation Association. That's a really great one for sportsmen, but just trying to learn. It's complicated, guys. If you have any tips, send them in to us because yeah, it's a lot to learn.
Yeah, yeah, that's I just wanted to note that.
We're trying.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you wanted to move on to this last one, then we can kind of jump back to the one I skipped earlier if you want to do that.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. You want to introduce it?
Yeah, the you're talking the Grizzly ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like we're getting Grizzlies. Um, I don't know. I didn't see a timeline or anything on that. I don't know if you know any more than I do, but it sounds like they've got the support of the federal government, aka Biden, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah. Yeah. The environmental impact study came back, and it looks like there are three options. I think we knew that prior. It was no reintroduction, one that would involve the reintroduction of grizzlies and classify them as threatened, so there would be more protections for them, and one that would classify them as non-essential experimental population. So there would be more management opportunity there. If there was conflict, still, and that's the one that was recommended on the environmental impact statement. We did hear from Jay Inslee. He left some support for the reintroduction of grizzly. So I think it's going to happen. I'm pretty darn certain it's quite an interesting subject. I wouldn't say I'm for it personally. I'm pretty concerned about it considering the way we manage wildlife here in the state, especially predator populations. It's a little bit worrisome, especially with, I don't think we really know what the impacts will be. I think they have this idea of, it being this big, great thing for the ecosystem, but I don't know if they really know that's how things will play out. And there's just a lot of opportunity for dangerous situations for people living near that or raising animals near those areas. It's concerning. I'm glad that it looks like they're going to go down the non-essential experimental population route, but I don't know how much that really means when it comes to conflict situations. I don't think they're going to, yeah, want to
Yeah,
deal.
so that would be 10J population, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, because well, talking to some people, that sounds it's a 10J population, which means that they're an experimental population and they can manage them. I think that's our best case scenario at this point. Like it sounds like we're getting them. The best thing we can hope for is a 10J. So at least there can be things done if
Yeah,
shit
it's
gets out of
better
hand.
than the other way.
Yeah. And man, I mean, we kind of already know that they're here, right? Like, um, obviously, but boy, I hope they start doing like some bear classes for people with Discover passes because uh, there's gonna be a whole lot of there's not very many bear smart people walking around the woods in Washington as it is on the PCT, but it's not gonna be any better with them walking around as well. So
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time, and I hope people take it seriously because these are not, fluffy little dudes. That is not the situation at all.
yeah, it's not even in this it's not even the same conversation between a black bear. The watching those things up close in Yellowstone was like insanity.
Yeah, and those things still rip people. I mean, the black bears still rip people apart.
Yeah, yep.
I think we had one
Um,
this week, or I don't know what state it was, but it was a national story.
yep. Yeah, there seems to be quite a few of those like well, jumping back to Cougars, wasn't there just one in like some neighborhood in Seattle?
Yeah, it was in Magnolia, which
Yeah, that's
was,
right.
yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that. When I was a butcher, we had one of our butcher shops there. So it made me think like, damn, there's cougars. There's cougars there in Seattle. I, I don't know what some people are going to do in that area when they actually see what cougars do. I think they
Yeah.
have this idea, but
I don't
it's not.
know. I mean, I'm not smart enough to understand it, but I'm assuming if you start adding grizzly bears at any sort of number, you're gonna force black bears, cougars, and other predators to have to look for other sources of food, right?
Yeah.
Logic would tell me that they're just going to create more human animal conflict, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think that's the way we're going. So I guess you'll just have to be, arming with the larger caliber, I guess, when you go out.
Yeah, if there's anywhere to buy them from.
Yeah, maybe get them now.
Yeah, yeah, hit me up.
That's what my husband
um,
bought a pistol for bears, a grizzly bear pistol. When he heard that this stuff was going, he's like, "Nope, I'm just going to deal with it right now."
yeah, yep. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you got anything more on the Grizzlies, but if not, we can jump back to that last one.
Oh yeah. So the Lorna email leak, we kind of touched on it a little bit when I brought up the wolf appeal situation from the unhappy anti-hunters who, went back to their other parent,
Yeah,
Jane's, because they didn't get their way from their one parent, the commission. And yeah, so when we realized that this appeal went out, when it became public, we saw a letter or an email from Lorna Smith. And that email, we had discussed it prior, highlighted a lot of like these threats. And those are fake threats from hunters during that October meeting. And there was just a lot in there that made hunters look like violent, threatening people. And that was straight from Lorna Smith. And she sent that email to these anti-hunting groups, and they used it in their appeal. And I'm guessing the reason why it was included was to maybe highlight that those people didn't get to speak to their best ability during public comment because they were afraid, or maybe certain commissioners didn't vote a certain way because they were afraid of what the repercussions could have been for voting, against some sort of, um, that it was on the conflict between livestock and wolves. And, that was not the case at all. You were there, Andy, right?
yeah, and for them to like the makes no sense because the vast majority of the hunters were gone when the vote happened anyway. For
Yeah. And
one.
there was like no, like, the law enforcement couldn't back up those claims like whatsoever. It was Ryan who reached out to them, right? And they
Mhm.
were like, yeah, we didn't see any of these things. So that email got sent out. I had put in a public records request to see how they had got it, because maybe they had got their public records request in faster than all of us. It's taking most people have been putting them in for the department like 6+ months. I'm sure longer for some people. And
Yeah, I put one in September and I have not seen it.
yeah, I don't think I think some people are it's been over 8 months. So
Yeah.
it's not plausible at all to think that they would have got a public records request in 3 weeks time or 2 weeks time from the time Lorna sent that to the time the email ended up in the appeal. And I put that request in, and mine came back really fast. And that was because there was no public record. So I'll back up a little bit. What my public records request was for anyone's public records request, including that included that email. And mine came back really fast, and it was because that didn't exist. There was no public records request that was fulfilled that contained that email. And I reached out to Lorna after I'd made a video on our Instagram about it. And I just asking, like, how did they get that? If they there was no way they got it through a public records request. Like, I know for a fact that didn't happen. And she came back to tell me that she did send it to them. And she sent it to them because they were concerned about their safety. And so she thought it would be the right thing for them to have. And none of that made sense to me at all because that is not the way sending internal emails like that, especially with like your own beliefs and really strong opinions about something like that, like the gravity of what was in that email, that's not normal. And you don't really send those sort of sensitive things to people that are known to take legal action, people who only know who only know litigation. Like, you know what's going to happen when you send something like that. It wasn't so that they knew that things were being taken care of. If you wanted them to know that they were safe and things were being taken care of, why weren't they, directed to law enforcement the WDFW law enforcement? It just doesn't make sense for a legitimate situation where there was an investigation or whatnot. So it was interesting to hear her admit that she did, stand by her decision to do that as, trying to protect concerned people. And shouldn't I be concerned about doing what's right to make people feel comfortable is kind of how she framed it to me.
Do you know off the top of your head, like the October meeting date, and then how long was it after that she sent that email?
It
Like,
was it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks. So I think she sent it on November 11th. It was the last couple days of October then when that email, I think it was like the 28th, and I think it was October 28th when the meeting was. It was
yeah.
November 11th when the email was sent out. And it was like the 29th or something, maybe around that time. It might have been just before that the appeal was sent to the governor.
So she sent the email to people in the department, right?
She sent it to um she sent it to Barbara, and she sent it to Suswin, and she sent it to Chief Bear. And then she
Two
sent
weeks. Sorry.
yeah,
Two
two
weeks
weeks.
after. So she was so fearful for her safety that she took 2 weeks to write this email. Just so happened to be less than a week before the anti-groups sent an appeal to the governor. Am I
Yeah.
getting that right?
So they sent it within about 2 weeks after that email was sent. Yeah, she sent her email to the anti-groups, and it ended up in an appeal just days after, basically.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I
I
guess
don't know. It seems really legitimate.
yeah, we can let everybody interpret that how they feel, I
I was
guess.
super convinced when I received that response. I was like, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so fearful I forgot for 2 weeks to send this email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Normally when people are scared, they send those things off. But she did say that they were sending her emails about being nervous, and so that was her way of, I don't know, keeping it good with them. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
So I don't
Um,
know. Anyone listening, you'll have to interpret that however you want. And
yeah. Huh. Well, I think we covered pretty much everything, if you agree.
yeah, well, do you want to hit on the Ruckle House
Oh,
really
yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
So, getting back to kind of the Washington Wildlife First situation. So, there is a Ruckle House review going on, and sometimes these things happen where uh, different state departments undergo reviews and audits and whatnot. Um, there's a review going on right now by the Ruckle House Center, which is run by the UW and WSU. It's a joint program. They didn't really want to do this review. They didn't ask for it. It kind of got thrown in their laps. And that was all brought about by Washington Wildlife First getting in the ear of the House Majority Leader about, the department. And their whole thing is that they want to reform the commission and the department and the way wildlife is managed here in Washington State. And they got in that person's ear. And I think it had to do with funding for non-game species. And it had opened this whole can of worms where there's a year-long review going on with 80 to 100 people being interviewed to see if changes need to be made to the department and the commission structure and whatnot. So there is a possibility. I don't really know if it's a very high possibility that the mandate has changed and that this agency is turned into a cabinet agency run by the governor or somebody within the governor's, office instead of the commission. And I ended up speaking to the person who's putting on this review. I do feel better about the situation after talking to him. I was pretty concerned learning that Washington Wildlife first initiated this whole thing and what some of the outcomes could be. I don't think that they're going to recommend this become a cabinet agency. What it sounds like to me is that they're interviewing a very good, diverse base of people and organizations, and a lot of them include, sportsmen and sportsman-friendly organizations. So I think that's a good thing. It didn't seem like anything was overwhelmingly anti-hunting who they were speaking to. And it seemed like most people were also pretty okay with the commission structure, but the overall thing was that they needed more oversight and, the ability to manage them and keep them accountable to what they're supposed to be doing. And that the mandate was a pretty good thing as well. Just maybe people weren't implementing it how it needed to be, but the mandate itself was good. So I'm hoping they did extend the deadline. It was supposed to be due in June, but now it's going to be due in December. It's just a lot of work. But I'm hopeful that what they give to the legislation and what they recommend is something that we will be in support of or maybe can get behind. It won't be so horrible and just a drastic change to what we know and what's been going so far, and maybe beneficial to the point of holding some of these people accountable and getting, the right people in to represent the people in the state and the people living with wildlife a little bit better. But we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm curious. Hopeful, but anytime you let a couple of universities get involved, we kind of have an idea what way they lean, right?
Oh, for sure. It did sound positive in the way that they are speaking to lots of people in the department and former commissioners and former directors and whatnot. So it really, to me, when going through kind of the list of everybody involved, that it was not overwhelming or even close to that of anti-hunting organizations.
That's good.
So it is good. I was very nervous about it, but I do feel a little bit more at ease. It's not that it's not something to be concerned about, but maybe it could be a helpful thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely needs something done. I don't know what the right answer is. I've got my opinion. Others have theirs. I don't think there's a perfect system, but there needs to be one that's more balanced for sure.
Yeah, the way it's going right now isn't great. And I don't think it has to do with, um, having a commission itself. That seems to be pretty successful throughout the nation, that model, but how you pick them and, how they get to act. People shouldn't be breaking policy and procedure like it's going out of style like that and just getting away with it.
Yeah.
It's not really a positive thing. We did, maybe the Senate could have a little bit more, control over what's going on because it sounds like from what they said, no commissioner has ever been removed from the commission.
Yeah, and they just confirm
one
anybody
person who left.
too. So cool. I wanted to kind of, you get a good idea too to end this with a couple shout outs. I know that Doug Bowes and the American Bear Foundation Washington chapter just had an event. I was not able to attend, but they were raising funds for Sportsman's Alliance. And then, were you able to go to that?
No, I was only 15 minutes away, but I didn't get to go. I was at a family event. So hopefully there'll be more events there because it's not too hard of a location for me to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. And then did you have anybody that you wanted to, I know
Yeah,
we talked about.
the Defend the Hunt guys, they're great. They are doing a shirt fundraiser right now for the Sportsman's Alliance. It's like 100% net profit goes to them, to the Sportsman's Alliance. And yeah, it doesn't sound like they're making any money on it. They're just there to do the right thing and raise some money to keep the commission accountable and, deal with the legal battles because that's something that we really need here in our state is to get that money going so we can do some litigation ourselves.
Yeah, yep. I chatted with him a little bit. He's a pretty good dude. So if you're listening to this, I'm gonna pull it up real quick and make sure I say it right.
I think it's just defendthehunt.com, I think.
I thought so too, but I want to make sure.
I went and bought a shirt, so
Yeah,
pretty affordable too. So get on there and get yours.
yeah, and 100% of the proceeds. Yes, it is. It is defendthehunt.com, advocating for hunting, wildlife conservation, and the Second Amendment. So yeah, they're selling shirts, raising monies for the Sportsman's Alliance. It's another grassroots local guy. So get out there, support him. And thanks, Kelsey, for coming on here. If there's any last thing you want to say, or if you think we covered it all.
I think we did a good job tonight. Thank you, Andy, and thanks to everyone who's listening. Keep up the fight, guard the gate, and yeah, just keep getting involved and reach out to us if there's any way we can help you.
Yeah, and leave a comment if there's something you guys want to hear chatted about or brought up, or we're gonna try. I mean, I'd like to try to do this, whether it's twice a month or after every meeting or something, just to kind of help people keep informed. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Take it in